Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Gathering. I am David Ault.
And I am Ram Lentine.
And I thought that we might give you a little glimpse into our morning practice. We happen to have taken a couple of days and escaped to the beach. And maybe I'm a little biased, but I feel like I'm one of the most fortunate people on the planet because we have these incredible solving the world's problems discussions every morning early over coffee.
They're deep.
They're deep. And so today you're getting you're getting an insight into our lives and into our morning routine. So I'll tell you how this conversation that we're going to have today started. So somebody posted on an online forum, big pain point, big challenge, big moment of suffering. And someone answered them and referred to a book that I have not thought about in a long, long time. And the book they referred to was called Busting Loose from the Money Game. And maybe some of you know this. It's been probably 15 years since that book came out. And the book is not really about money. The book is really about what I feel is an amalgamation, a combination of A Course in Miracles, non-dualism, illusion, the oversoul, and this thing that we call the human experience. And I thought it was brilliant. I think it was too much for some people who were trying to approach their pain points around money and whatnot. But there's an interesting line, I think maybe a line or reference point in the discussion that I read that I thought would be great fodder for this, because we've been talking about this a lot and how it affects our own life. And that line was, there is no such thing as improving the illusion. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so there's no such thing as improving the illusion. So let's break that down. What is the illusion? So the illusion that the book is referencing, and what I think A Course in Miracles, non-dualism, multidimensionality would call the illusion, is this thing called the human experience, or the plane of form, the twoisms, the experience of dualism, the microcosm, what we are as a microcosmic outpicturing of a macrocosm. So there's no such thing to improving the illusion. So where do people have a problem with this?
Well, I think it starts right at the illusion part. Feels awful real.
It feels awful real. And so having been a teacher, or a spiritual teacher, I think one of the things that has been most beneficial for me is how to teach to the variety of people that are before you. And what I mean by that, as a minister for several decades, you realize that the people that are listening or in front of you in a church or a service or something is a widespread combination of the desperate who have stumbled in off of the street. That's not an exaggeration. To the well-seasoned spiritual metaphysician who thinks they know everything. And when you realize that everybody is somewhere on that spectrum, then how do you talk about spiritual principles, specifically this idea that God is the only reality? And so what this is saying from this book, which is a combination of all the things that we talked about, is that this then is illusion. And yet the people who are out there, you watching this, you're going to have some kind of a reaction to it, because it's a very delicate thing.
Can I say?
Yeah.
I think this phrase can hit me in different ways, depending on where I'm at during a day or some period of my life. So when if I'm upset about something, the idea that there's no such thing as improving the illusion is could feel really bad.
Yeah.
Or, feel really impossible. Like, what do you mean it's an illusion?
So let's tell them how real we are with our illusions. So why are we at the beach?
Good question. Could it be that I was so fried out from work
Okay.
that I felt like my head was going to explode? It did not feel very illusion-y that in the last few weeks when I felt so tired and worn out.
And the type of work that you do is?
Well, I'm in public health.
Okay.
And I deal with politicians. And so
and world and crises, or not just world, national crisis, like the train derailment and all of you're having to interface with all of that, and the poisoning. So that's like saying the train derailment in Ohio and all of the repercussions of that, and the toxic chemicals and the water problems and the air problems. Basically,
it's an illusion.
That's an illusion. And that, that's, I would say that's, somebody once put it that's kind of spiritual malpractice. So how do you hold capital R reality that, yes, that is a part of a hologram, a holographic unfoldment of the plane of form? So you're probably, some of you may already be turned off, but so here we are dealing in the plane of form and getting and being at the effect of it, correct?
Yeah.
And so you in a big way. And so it's not just that, it's also disease, and
it's also just the feeling of being trapped within a ginormous bureaucracy, and all the personalities and the ways that that plays out in our interpersonal interactions. And so these people come into my world in a microcosmic way, like just to get the work done day to day, not to mention the topic of death and disease and destruction, and dealing with personalities. And then that feels real, like, this and that, and I can't get this done, I wish this was different. And so it can be very draining.
And it's not only the personalities within your team and your department, but it's also the personalities of what we call in the illusion the United States Congress, and the immorality. Let's just call it what it is: the immorality and the two-facedness and the purposeful lying for one's own individual gain. It's all just, it's too much. It's just like sipping a cup of poison very slowly over time. And so for the average person, of course that's real. And I don't even think that I would say there's no such thing as improving the illusion to that audience. So I'm making an assumption that the audience here can stay along for the ride for a little bit. So you don't do that. And so you quote meet people where they are. So from my perspective, the pain point is in not only understanding what this is talking about in terms of what is true. What is true is so much far beyond this one-dimensional 5 sense limitation experience that we're having, that for whatever reason I'm working something out karmically in my soul as this identity known as David. but that it's much bigger than that. And so you and I have both had a glimpse and experiences in that other realm. So it helps in this discussion, but I would say the average person has not. And I think if we are here to love people where they are, to assist people to be a bodhisattva, which means to help soften, even eliminate the suffering of this illusion, how do we go about that? So even you, having had your experiences within the, we'll call it the truth realm, the realm of multidimensionality, the realm where we could actually, in all integrity, say God is all that there is. We've kind of have had our individual experiences in that. So we can say that, we can know that. How do you bring that down into now your world, the world of public health, the world of personality, the world of lying and bureaucracy, and the shell game that you're always having to move things around? How do you do that?
Well,
please
I mean,
solve the world's
yeah,
problems in like 5 seconds.
You got it. I think knowing that there's no such thing as improving the illusion is actually a helpful tool. So it's not that that I ignore what's happening immediately in front of me, or try not to look at the train derail like, oh God, it's not the pushing away of the things that are coming at me by saying, oh, it's all an illusion, so who cares? It's all an illusion is a helpful tool in a moment of.
And by the way, we do know people who do that.
Yeah, we do
go, oh, it's an illusion, and so they just abandon all human interfacing and responsibility, and that's not what you're advocating.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to deal with what's in front of you, no matter how ugly. And actually, the more ugly it is, I think the more important it is to look at it. But knowing somewhere, or reminding myself that, I'm trying to improve an illusion is helpful on a couple of levels. First of all, it does create a little bit of psychological space between me and the issue. So it reminds me that I'm not fully 100% responsible. Like, this human body moving around is not going to solve this problem alone, or it's not mine to solve. And it's a problem. These problems are just going to keep coming and coming and coming. So it keeps me out of the despair realm.
And so, to go back to languaging from that book, Busting Loose from the Money Game, what I remember was that the author said that the thing that you and I are trying to overcome cannot be overcome because we actually did not create the thing, the obstacle, that is there from a very meticulous design from what the oversoul of us, or the absolute. And so to push it away or try to fix it is missing the point. Really, the point is, and you said, turn to it. And when you turn to something that appears to be this absolute insurmountable pain, hear me out. When you turn to it, instead of trying to mitigate it, medicate it, escape it, legislate it, advocate against it, instead of doing those things, but turn to it first in the spaciousness that you said, and know it not as an enemy, but as an invitation for I was going to say expansion, but it's almost a reuniting to that which is already your expanded self. So hear me out. everything that is a pain point is like a hand extending you to say, come on, come into this thing so that you can move through the thing rather than trying to build fortresses to keep the thing away.
Well said.
Okay. And so why are you here?
But so, right.
Because it was the thing then became.
Well, I think so. It's the practice of doing that with spaciousness. If I did it perfectly, I don't believe that there would be so much exhaustion. However, I'm practicing, so there is exhaustion, and I did feel burnt out and at the end of my rope from getting caught, which we all do, and feeling like this illusion is real, and it's my responsibility. And I took on too much and did not turn, did not open and expand to the place where it was just running through. And I know, Ram Dass would allow the well, I mean, who knows? I'm not going to say. So the since it's just coffee shop chat,
coffee chat.
We often revise. So I'm going to just say, I don't know. Maybe the exhaustion was part of the thing that I needed to experience. I think it can be mitigated though with more spaciousness, and I think I just got too caught in what was going on. So anyway, but I think that everybody gets caught, and I got caught.
And I got caught in his caught.
Yeah, he did.
So the way that I got caught in his caught was I need to fix it, because that's what I do.
Isn't
in the
that great?
illusion. My illusion is, my assignment is I gotta fix it. And so in the fixing it, I go shopping because he loves the beach, he loves to surf. Anything that has to do with water is an immediate healing experience. And so I go online and I find a place and I go to book it. And what I think is the price ends up being double. And it's a step too far because now the fees have been added after the thing. And now, like, I'm caught now because I'm paying far too much. We're paying far too much for this after all this other stuff. And so now I'm feeling bad and irresponsible around economics and around fixing it. And so you start to just see it's just this loop that we do. And the illusion is the thing is that we're trying to fix stuff at the level of effect, when really all along what we've been talking about is how do you get back to cause? And cause is the thought or the belief. And so a majority of our lives is often seduced down into the realm of effect, where we're trying to manage, fix, control things at the level of effect. And there's nothing wrong with that. See, what I think is, on this, I keep looking at the paper, there's no such thing as improving the illusion. One of my big ahas with our mutual love and admiration from Ram Dass is that what I hear Ram Dass say about this is, however, you have to go in and exhaust trying to fix things at the level of illusion. Do you hear what I said? It's you have to go into that first in a way that exhausts all of that, to get beyond that, to actually be spacious and welcoming for this statement, because we're all caught. So that means that I still have not reached a point where I fully own this 100%, because I'm still getting caught. So I still have to go through my journey of being caught until I'm not. But what's beautiful now is I'm not trying to rush the journey. Well, maybe sometimes. Let's be true. But do you understand? It's so if we go to Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey and we see all of these kind of big spots that seem to be the dark night of the soul, or the realms of forgetfulness, the percentage of my journeying in trying to rush the journey or fix the journey is less, because my percentage of remembering and actually subscribing to this statement that there's no such thing as improving the illusion is becoming more. And really, that's all that I can do. That's really my whole purpose for being. And so what I find is that I get to stop shaming myself for getting caught and celebrating that when I do get caught, I don't linger there. I'm actually not crafting an entire life there. I've done that, but it means that I'm not, the blessing is, there's an equal blessing. There's the potency of the blessing is as much as getting caught and recognizing it as is the relief of not being caught and dwelling in the union of God. Each of those things have incredible richness to it, if you know what I mean. So it's not like the one pivotal shiny thing is never getting caught. It's equally beautiful and shiny when I am caught and I realize that I'm caught. Oh my God, that's awareness, right? And so that's another form of self-compassion. It's not that I have to beat myself up for getting caught. It's that when I am caught, I recognize that I'm caught and I go, that in and of itself is kind of a win.
Can I bring in one other thing?
Sure.
Because as you were talking, I was thinking about Ram Dass's teachings about the game. So if we're participating in a game, life is a game. It's an illusion, but it's a game. Let's call it a tennis match. So he talks about life as participating in a game. And so if you're in the game and you're playing tennis and you're like, it's just a game, and you sort of don't try, it's not fun for you or the other person. If you're overly aggressive about the game and you're like, I'm going to win, then it's no fun because you're a bad sport and, you're taking it way too seriously and it's, just gets ugly. So the trick of, you kind of go into the game, you get, you fully lose yourself and immerse yourself in being the best tennis player you can be. In my case, going into the bureaucracy, and I can get lost and just do, like, okay, I'm going to do it, like really throw myself fully and wholeheartedly into the illusion of what I'm doing. And then remember those little remembering that you're talking about. It's like, remember, you remember, you wait, you kind of raise your head a little bit and you're like, oh, I was in the game. And instead of seeing it as I got lost and it's here horrible, I'm a bad spiritual person, I can just be like, oh, good. I got into the game and I was playing my role as just as fully as I could. And then it's not punitive that I got lost in the game. And those little waking up keep the game at the level of what I would call, like with the right level, kind of I'm participating in the game, but I'm not out to kill anyone because it's not a life or death situation. It's a game. So I think where things get really intense for people is when life feels so real and so that it is like life or death. Like I get so trapped in, and this is weird because it is life or death
on this plane.
But if you can get to the point where you're not seeing survival as
the end game,
yeah, then you can move more lightly within this illusion.
So let me see if I can put it this way too. We're very aware of the anti-trans legislation and movement. We're very aware. We are a part of the LGBTQ community, so we're very aware of the threat that is and the movement, the calculated movement of politicians in order to cause harm within this. We're very aware of how that could affect individuals and families that are involved in this human expression. And so by talking about what we're talking about, we're not saying, oh, it's not real. We're very aware of that because it affects us also. And here might be the singular differentiation in all of this. We're very aware that it's small r real in this plane of form, and that it is a part of our assignment to help soften the suffering of those who are at the effect of that. And as we approach what our brand of advocacy will be, and the way it and our involvement in helping alleviate that suffering, we get to, and we must carry with us the understanding that it's also a part of the game and the illusion. And let me tell you why that is so drastically different, is that now, like in your example of the tennis game, we're not fighting at the level of the effect. Exactly. What we are doing, and what I love about your work, is that your behind the scenes work is that when you are in full remembrance, you bring into every spreadsheet, every meeting, every Capitol Hill negotiable discussion, you bring into that a spaciousness that would not exist. It would still be ego versus ego, desperation, fighting, all of that kind of stuff. And so, is that not really the ultimate assignment? Is to walk into those types of things with a spaciousness that the only reality is love. Meaning, my sole assignment then is to walk into, quote, quote, the darkness, and understand that whatever little piece of light that I might bring into that the darkness has no power over that. And what we are forgetting, oftentimes, myself included, is that we're still trying to fight the darkness from a space of forgetfulness, from a space of fear. I'm still working on karmic stuff about not having enough. You know, I do subscribe to the idea that I chose my family, I chose the circumstance that I was born in. I chose that as a way of evolving and working through whatever it is for me karmically to work through. And I think everybody does that. And I still see the stickiness and the tentacles, the grabbing onto ideas such as, I have to do it alone. No one's going to understand. Will I ever succeed at, quote, quote, this level? But the brilliant thing is, I love that you said, turn to those things instead of trying to outmaneuver them, outpace them, work them, outschedule them, because I did that as well. And I appreciate that there is greater wisdom with age, at least for me. I've met people who are far more wise than me who are super young. So that's not just a one-track thing as well, but I'm able to look back at my forgetfulness and now use it as a beneficial tool. So
do we have time to do a little bit more? Because this is how coffee talk goes, and then sometimes I'm running late for work.
There you go. And then we go, oh my God. Now, right about now, we look at the clock and go,
got a meeting.
Okay, so now we're on vacation.
Yeah,
so
here you go.
Us, Hang in there.
Here we go. But I want to go back to the trans laws for a minute, because I think it's a great example. So you asked me in the car, like, about what I would do maybe for advocacy around that issue. So for those of you who don't know, surprise, I'm trans. So I was born female. I know. I know. It's a surprise. So I was born female and transitioned in my 30s. And this was, obviously when I was transitioning, there were still no people on TV or public figures who were trans. And I have to be honest, when you asked me that question, I felt like the fire of that was a little too hot. Like I'm here I am preaching, like, turn toward it. But when I'm watching myself with that issue, I'm recognizing that it's hot. It's hot for me. It's painful. I feel a lot. I mean, there's just a lot of feelings that come up around it. What I appreciate about my age and kind of experience and spiritual practice is that I don't feel like I have to run in its direction. So I think that where I have gotten, and I still get caught sometimes around guns. Like, so if there's a hot button issue, the impulse is to be like, gotta stop it, and so there's a kind of the fear, the pain, all the things that are underneath that sort of, I need to fix it, are the fear and the pain are what drives that kind of over excitement or kind of desperation to make it stop, the pain to stop. And so what I'm watching in myself is that, or my practice around this issue right now, is to just watch what is bubbling up in myself around the issue, because it's a lot. And I don't know that I feel ready to engage it in a head-on way until I process through the feelings that are coming up. And so I think it's actually a good kind of, I feel, spiritually mature way of managing something so big, is to take it in little chunks and just sort of, okay, this is horrible. I mean, what I'm seeing is horrible and really overwhelming. And so I don't want to turn away from it, and yet I don't want to face it unconsciously, which I think would be where I'd want to go get my sign and go stand on somebody's yard. I don't know what it would look like, but I want to approach it softly, like, so that I can have an open heart and really feel all the feelings that I have in myself, and really the feelings that come up around the pain of these kids and these families who are being used, in my opinion, by the politicians for votes, and see that as for what it is too. I mean, these politicians don't give a crap about what's right or wrong for these families. They care about getting a vote and making money. So, all of that has just, got to be put into the soup, and then allow it to simmer until I'm ready to approach it in a way that's not going to create this. Because if I'm if they're trans people are terrible, and then I'm like, oh, you're wrong, all it creates is a big divide instead of allowing some space for open solution.
So didn't know you were going to go there.
Sorry.
No, don't. No, what I love about that is, so let's speak for a moment from the family who has a trans child that is now having to seriously consider moving to another state and uprooting their life because of that particular state's laws. So there would be an argument that their situation does require urgency, right? And what I know about you that may not have been translated is that the process of softening is not something that takes weeks or months. It could just be a moment of pausing. So what you're saying is that you have to do that every day. That's just your line of work. You're dealing, what I so love and appreciate about you is that you deal with the underbelly of the ugly every day. And I've said to you many times, I do not know how you do your job. I like, I walk around, because we're still primarily working out of our home. I'm going la 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 la, because it's some of this stuff I don't want to know. I mean, I knew it, but I don't want to know. And yet, so what I know, and I actually have never put this together before, but I think one of the things that's so valuable about Coffee Time is that we do this type of awareness check-in before we go into the world of effect.
Oh my gosh, it's so helpful to me.
And so what I know is that you're not postponing or burying your head in the sand. You're actually almost recalibrating every single day. That's the message. Recalibrate before you react. If you don't like the sentence, there's no such thing as improving the illusion. Rather than reacting and turning away from that, turn to it and go, why don't I like that?
Mm-hmm.
What is the part of me? And I'll just answer for myself. The part of me that would have had issue with this in the past is that it would be a narrative or a theme that says, well, you don't understand. You don't understand the depth of my pain. You don't understand my journey of abuse and discrimination and disease and death. And you know what? Seen it all. And now I feel that I can say that and teach that, not from a textbook regurgitation, but from having lived a journey that that I would say required me to, or that I chose to turn to the ugly. And there's a lot of ugly, to turn to the ugly and be able to say to you, there's no such thing as improving the illusion. However, let's improve the illusion right now, because that's where you're at. And I don't say that directly, but I know that that's what I'm doing, because you can't hurry the harvest of someone's consciousness. And I don't mean to say that as a derogatory statement. It's just, the understanding that everybody's going to get there. Everybody has already gotten there, through, if you want to take it to even a bigger degree. But you have to understand the process of someone's harvest and where they are. And so I would like to think that if you made it this long, that somewhere in the process of your harvest has been a lot of tilling of the soil, a lot of abandoned crops, a lot of seasonal wintering and flooding, and so you know the disappointment. You know the disappointment of trying to improve the illusion. You know the exhaustion that comes from trying to fix other people. You know the heartbreak of putting yourself out there only to have things fall apart. And it could sound really cruel to say, yay. And yay. We've done the dance, and we're getting to a place where we can see all of those things. We can see the biggest perpetrators of our grief as being the ones who are these gatekeepers, who are encouraging us to keep moving, because that's what this is. So turn to it.
Recalibrate and keep going.
So we're at the beach, and we love the beach, and it's butt cold. And so,
the universe is against
the
me.
Effect. It's like, why can't I ever get a vacation? It's like, it's cold. it's rainy and it was windy, and so guess what, we're still going to go put our feet in the sand and breathe the air and celebrate the fact that there is a higher percentage of us that knows that God is all that there is. There's not one path up the mountain, and that the path that you are on is perfect. And the more that you turn to the pain, the more that you will be able to see the hands that are inviting you to walk through the pain, not to linger in the pain. And we love you. And
Love you.
I think it's beach time.
Let's do it.
Bye.